Hello everyone, my name is Crimton here, and welcome to episode 3 of Catch Canvas. So, last episode, we continue with our the three students that we are overwatching. Everyone made progress except Estelle, but that was kind of obvious. Anyways, let's just hop right back in. If you guys didn't watch the last episode, you guys are going to be a little confused about this episode, and a lot happened in the last episode, so I do highly recommend watching last episode. Let's jump right in. Having given myself a deadline, I finally headed downstairs. I had been laying on my bed, and staring at the ceiling since I woke up, not even getting up to go to the bathroom. With my future as an artist on the line, however, I couldn't afford to laze around any longer. I was going to try my best to make every hour count, and if I failed, that would be the end of it. Alright, girls, this is it. No more coddling, no more procrastination. Get your asses in gear and prepare for a full day of productivity. Right up until sundown, we're going to sketch, paint, and model our way to victory. If we start at 8 p.m. or a.m., that means we have a full 12 hours of... In the middle of getting myself riled up, I cast a glance towards the clock in the kitchen. As if time had wound itself backwards just a screw, the digital display flashed on and off, indicating that no uncertain terms that the time is 5:03 a.m. I had woken up hours earlier than anticipating, and even going to my own arbitrary state time, the girls would be expected to begin for another 3 hours. God damn it. 2.5 hours later, making myself breakfast and going for a quick jog around town, I was greeted by the first of the girls to wake up. Yawning graciously, Nachan dragged herself out of bed and walked into the living room. She picked up a packet of chips, sat down on the couch, and lazily plowed through an incredibly unhealthy breakfast. Are we really going to start this early in the morning? Nachan hardly finished charging yet. Nachan wasn't in the mood to paint, a point she had made quite clear. From the moment I began pestering her, Nachan did little more than scowl at me the whole while, making claims about how the day doesn't start until 9 a.m. Nonetheless, I continued to push her, and sure enough, I managed to coax Nachan into the classroom. You'll wake up soon enough, you just need to get your blood pumping. Oh, I know, how about a lap around the cabin? Exercise always wakes me up. I guess it's true, preventilation really is better than cure. I never stay up late drawing manga again. This week. Come on, don't be like that. You woke up early on your own accord, didn't you? I woke up to have breakfast and go to the bathroom, not to start painting. I still need to pee, you know. What will you do if Nachan wets herself? We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. For the time being, show me what you're up to, and we'll start from there. Fine. John begrudgingly took her seat in front of her canvas and placed her work in progress front and center. Walked over to Nachan's side for the better look. Still in the early stages, huh? This is okay. There is no harm in taking your time to get it right. You still have more than a week to go. This pace is acceptable. Early stages, acceptable pace. Alex, what has gotten into you today? You're acting weird. Psh, I am not. Come on now, get to work and no bathroom breaks until you finish. See, that's exactly what I... Phew, that was one girl on track. Now then, let's see if Dawn's woken up yet. Paying Nachan's cries of annoyance no mind, I returned to the cabin and headed straight for Dawn's room. I knew Estelle wouldn't be up for a while, and Dawn was typically awakened by this time, so I figured I could at least check in on her. I can't tell if Dawn's to paint while Nachan's in the classroom. Bad honest, I'm not terribly worried about Dawn to begin with. She already finished her so-called draft painting, and I'd be surprised if she didn't finish at least one more by the start of next week. If all else fails, I could get her present said draft and still be her classmates by a landslide. Upon reaching Dawn's bedroom, I knocked on the door. Hello, Dawn, are you awake? Alex? Dawn's bedroom opened, and out came Dawn, fully dressed and wide awake. Morning, sunshine. Ready for a day of productivity? Beaming a refreshing smile in response to my question, Dawn's agreeable attitude put my heart at ease. With a deadline strict as mine, the goal I couldn't reach alone, her cooperation would go a long way towards making my dream a reality. You have no idea how glad I am to hear you say that. Is the classroom empty? No, not right now. No. Nachan's further behind than you are, so I figured she should. Upon being informed that the classroom was already occupied, Dawn retreated back into her room and closed the door. That didn't go as planned. Is it true that Dawn won't make any progress once Nachan's in the classroom? And I was still hoping for a better reaction than that. Oh well, I guess I'll check on Sleeping Beauty before I reunite with Nachan. Only for the sake of... Well, my game crashed. That's always a good sign. Alright, so this is where I was. And if only for the sake of completeness, I paid Estelle a visit. Sorry about that. It being 8 a.m., I didn't think for a moment she'd be awake. If history is an indicator, it would still be another 4 hours until she wakes up. And indeed, upon entering Estelle's room, I was greeted by nothing more than a snoring and sleepy moans. Comfortable and content, Estelle slept soundly, not at all disturbed by the rays of morning light. Unmarred by her usual makeup and unable to give me attitude in her sleep, I once again found myself smiling at her sleeping figure. Why can't Estelle always be like this? Why is she, when she's asleep, Estelle is like a completely different person, one which I prefer to her usual self. If she didn't wear that makeup and showed a little less attitude, we might just get along after all. I'm probably asking for the impossible there. Estelle will be whoever she wants to be, and I can't change that. Correct. My only business with Estelle is getting her to finish her assignment. Anything else is not my problem. After paying the other two girls a visit, I entered the classroom to check on Nichan. While I didn't think she needed my supervision to work, she did have a tendency to get distracted, and so my presence couldn't hurt. So, yo, Nichan, woken up yet? Not really. I didn't know how you can be so energetic this early in the morning. It's not that early. Anyways, I've checked up on the other two, so it's time to get started. Yeah, I get it. At least let me warm up with some manga first. I can't paint while I'm half asleep, you know. No manga, put in a few hours of painting, then you can draw manga. No fair. When did you become a manager? When you asked me to help you improve your drawing style. Irk. Remember, did she really think I was helping her out of goodness of my heart? I made it clear from the beginning that's why I'm here. She has no reason to be surprised. A few hours, huh? How long do you think it'll take me to catch up to the other two? Catch up? Yeah, the other two are way ahead of me, right? I cast a glance over at Dawn's current painting. Well, Dawn certainly is, but I wouldn't worry about competing with her. To be honest, I don't think you have a hope of catching up to her either. Yeah, Nichan looked towards Dawn's painting, quietly sulking as she compared it to her own. But don't let yourself get too down. You're still ahead of the other slacker, you know? She refused to even do her own work. Oh, you mean Estelle? Asked you to help her cheat? Maybe I should ask you too. Then I can get back to doing what I really enjoy. Not a chance. You're finishing your painting, and that's that. I'm not helping you cheat. Stingy. Maybe I'll ask Dawn to help me instead. She isn't planning on using her first attempt anyway. You girls have no ethics, do you? Could you even afford a masterpiece like that? Not normally, but it's Dawn. If Dawn's the seller, I think I can manage. Paintings are like a currency to her. A few warm pairs should do a trick. Please don't encourage her like that. Though come to think of it, I guess I'm guilty of the same since I accepted Dawn's bribe. Really, why can't you just compete your own work? Another week should do more than enough time for you to finish. It's not that hard, is it? It's not that it's exactly hard, but why are you so against cheating anyway? Nichan's expression suddenly turned serious. She stared at me directly in the eyes, probing for an honest response in her question. Is it really so strange for me not to want these girls to cheat on their assignments? They all have the potential to make great artists. The last thing I want is for a stupid mistake to prevent their careers from taking off. I sighed and scratched the back of my head. Okay, let me ask you instead. Nichan, why are you so touchy about the subject of cheating? Does it have anything to do with why you're taking this course? Nichan went quiet. Although I didn't know the exact circumstances surrounding her enrollment, I already had my own theory on which Nichan was there. Put simply, she was too easily distracted by her real passion, manga, and wound up cheating in order to pass whatever art course she was enrolled in at the time. I could be wrong. It was only a guess based on the few things I know about Nichan, after all. Nonetheless, looking at her expression at the moment, I was fairly confident in my theory. Look, I didn't actually expect you to tell me. We all have our secrets, and you don't have to tell me anything you don't want to. All I really want is for you three to finish your assignments and to receive a passing grade from my uncle. So please forget about cutting corners and work earnestly on your assignment. I'm having enough trouble with the others as it is. In response to my plea, Nichan looked up at me with a sorrowful expression. I couldn't tell if she was disappointed by my reply or simply feeling guilty as she pondered over her own circumstances. Either way, that expression lasted for only a moment, and Nichan rebounded with her usual vigor. Okay, message received. Nichan will work her cute little butt off for Alex's sake, and her will be a apprenticeship in the art of manga. Sure. But not today, okay? Like I said before, I haven't been able to get Estelle to work at all, so dealing with her needs to come first. No problemo. Nichan has boundless patience. No comment. But wait, you said you couldn't get Estelle to work at all? Yeah, I mean, she started before I got here, but I haven't seen her work on her assignment even once since then. Yeah, me neither. But Estelle really isn't that far behind. I'm sure her sketch is done. She's already grabbed a canvas for her painting. Come again? Rather than repeat herself, Nichan walked over to Estelle's workspace. She flipped over countless pages, skipping right past the sketches Estelle showed me, until she reached a series of rough sketches near the back. Estelle's been working on her assignment in secret? The first few sketches were little more than rough outlines, mapping out the shape and size of Mars. Following those were two more sketches each half finished, then scribbled out. Finally, after her failed attempts, there was a completed sketch, bearing none of the faults of the pieces before it. I really don't get Estelle. Why does she refuse to try in front of us? Dawn is shy, and I understand that some people need their space to work, but Estelle's case... I approached the completed sketch in order to get a better look. Though not quite perfect, it was significant improvement over the earlier sketches Estelle had begun. It seemed that the previous sketches were just practice, and while not on the same level as Dawn, Estelle was a little bit of a perfectionist. I understand now. I took a step back, and a smile crept on my face. Estelle let her pride get in the way of her productivity. She didn't want us to see her failures, so she's been practicing in secret. Honestly, the damn Gyaru. So that's it. Hearing my brief explanation, Nichan began to smile as well. Tell me about it. She really had me going for a while there. I was beginning to think Estelle really did come here to just chill by the beach. But I should have known my uncle wouldn't accept her if she didn't have skill and drive. All three of you have your place here. I should never have doubted that. Disinterest, diffidence, and pride. These girls have each of their own mental barrier to tear down before they're ready to enter the world of art. Is this why Uncle left the task in my hands? Did he want me to see with my own eyes the traits that can make or break an artist? If that's the case, then perhaps my uncle's lesson already began without me even realizing it. I took a deep breath and folded my arms. Alright, enough of that. Even if Estelle is further along than I thought, none of you are done just yet. If I don't get significant progress from you over the next few hours, there won't be any more manga tutelage. Why the sudden change of attitude? Shouldn't you be in a good mood? I thought showing you Estelle's progress would make you happy. It did. I am happy. But it also means that you are the furthest behind on your assignment. I pointed towards Nichan's unfinished painting as I smiled at her. Now get back to work, do well, and you'll be rewarded. Deal? Alright, let it never be said that Nichan is afraid of a little hard work. Just you watch, I'll reclaim my position in second place before the day is over. Without further delay, Nichan set to work on her painting, no longer tired or lethargic in the least. Casting the occasional glance towards Estelle's work, she began with renewed vigor, giving credence to her statements from moments ago. Whether or not she was actually reclaimed her position or not, I was certain that Sean would give it her best. For an hour or so. And at the end of what I was supposed to be a busy day focused on productivity, I found myself laying on bed looking up on the ceiling. Similar to how my morning started, I was content to lay there alone, deep in thought and concerned about the progress my uncle's students were making. Unlike in the morning, however, I was less concerned about the girls' progress and more intrigued by the end results might look like. Despite Nichan's lack of motivation, she was inching closer to her goal. She spent 4 hours painting a day, after which I was obligated to tutor her once more. Those 4 hours were well spent. Given another couple of sessions like that, she would undoubtedly finish with time to spare. Closer still was Dawn. She remained uncontested in first place. Dawn's interest had given her a distraction, which was quite different. In Nichan's case, it was surprisingly easy to accommodate. I could just leave Dawn on her own and choose to not interrupt her alone time, then fetch her when it was time to paint. Disturbing though it may be to think about how she spent the time, this method was proven effective. Thanks to proper scheduling of the art classroom, Dawn had less than an hour of work to do before finalizing her piece, or so she claimed. With any luck, the first of my uncle's students would finish their assignments tomorrow morning. Seeing Nichan and Dawn nearing completion, my mind was actually occupied with thoughts of Estelle instead. Nichan's revelations this morning had forced me to revisit my impression of Estelle and to think about what I could do to motivate her. Or rather, whether or not I should intervene. Estelle has made it this far on her own. However foolish her reason for hiding her progress, she really is doing well, and she's on track to complete her assignment early next week. She doesn't need my help. In fact, giving her secrecy, she probably doesn't want it either. If I leave her to finish what she started, Estelle would do her best. My interference will only complicate matters. I should just leave her alone, shouldn't I? As much as I tried to convince myself to leave Estelle alone, I wasn't sure I had it in me. I wanted to observe her artistic process. I wanted to see the attitude played Gyaru, earnestly work on her assignment, and show me her passion. I wanted to experience for myself her true nature, hidden behind that rough exterior and obscured by her unnecessary self-defense mechanism. And reason to be damned, I was going to do just that. I crept downstairs, careful not to make too much noise. With midnight approaching, 2 of the 3 girls would likely be sound asleep, and the last thing I wanted to do was hide and hinder them. Rest up, my little artist, replenish your energy so that you can approach your assignments tomorrow without an ounce of fatigue. While you're doing that, good old Alex will be ensuring the compliance of a certain Gyaru. I quietly opened the front door of the cabin and headed straight towards the art classroom. Despite being the middle of the night, there was still light remaining from within the classroom, and I couldn't hear a faint noise coming from inside. I pulled the classroom door open, slowly allowing more light to leak out, and peered inside. I knew it. Just as I had guessed, the classroom contained a single occupant. Poised in front of her canvas was Estelle, paintbrush in hand, focused on the job at hand. Judging by her unbroken line of sight, she didn't appear to have noticed my presence. Estelle simply continued to look over her painting, occasionally raising her brush and adding a few strokes to what appeared to be Mars's hair. Good job, Estelle. I didn't know what time she got here, but Estelle hadn't even started her painting when Achan alerted me to her progress this morning. It is still to be a few days of hard work before Estelle gets close to finishing, and that's assuming that her first attempt is a success. Nonetheless, it appears as though all my worrying was for naught. Estelle is right on track to complete her assignment, even without intervention. Waiting for the moment when Estelle put her paintbrush down and took a step back, I finally entered the classroom. Estelle jumped at the sound of my footsteps and quickly turned around, visibly shocked by the unexpected appearance. Alex? What are you... Matching her expression, Estelle's voice contained far less aggression than normal, filled instead with shock bordering on fear. Despite her efforts to appear uncaring and to work on her assignment in secret, Estelle had been caught red-handed, toiling away like a proper student. I could ask you the same question. Why would a Gyaro like you, who claimed to only be here solely for the beach, be working tirelessly on her assignment? Estelle averted her gaze. There was no excuse that she could give that would satisfy me, nor was there any way for her to maintain her air of indifference. All that remains is to see how she will react to being caught. What's wrong? Cat got your tongue? She's usually so straightforward and blunt, it is really that shocking that your true nature is exposed. I continued to verbally prod Estelle as I figured to force her to speak up. In response, Estelle maintained her annoyed expression, refusing to say a word. Nothing to say, huh? Alright then, let me do the explaining for you. I cleared my throat and looked Estelle dead in the eye. Estelle, you came here not because you wanted to improve your artwork, but because you wanted to prove how good you are. You thought that you aced my uncle's class, everyone would be forced to recognize your talent, no matter how your appearance. You would be accepted as an artist. Am I right so far? Estelle bit her lip. She nervously looked away for a second, then turned my gaze once more. I'll take that as a yes. Now, I don't know what you were like when you first arrived here, but after observing the other two, I have a pretty good idea of where you went off course. Came here expecting to be my uncle's top student. You thought you'd ace his class and put his other students to shame, earning the top rank with ease, as you probably did before coming here. And then, when you actually arrived here, you met Dawn. Estelle stopped breathing for a moment as I mentioned Dawn's name. You, the prideful artist who thought you could easily ace a master's class, were not my uncle's top student. Compared to Dawn, who worked at a very fast pace while maintaining an unimaginable level of quality, you were nothing. You were in second place from the moment you got here, and you couldn't stand it. But instead of aiming to beat Dawn, you decided to act the way you look, like a flimsy gyro who just wants to play around. After all, there's no shame in losing if you don't try, right? People can't look down at your best work if you never show it to them to begin with, can't they? So they just sit around content with being number two and approach your assignment with no motivation whatsoever. You wasted your days of supposed tutelage playing the unmotivated delinquent, waiting for your time here to reach its natural conclusion. And then all that changed when I showed up. Estelle took another deep breath when I correctly guessed her entire thought process. In the hours I spent waiting between dinner and our meeting, I had given some serious thought to all of this. So with Estelle now in front of me, sweating at every word, there was no way I could stop. Once I convinced Achan to take her assignment seriously, she plowed on ahead. Unlike her chicken scratch manga, Achan's sketches actually showed promise. She quickly improved, and before you knew it, it seemed like she would surpass you. In less than 1 week, you went from second place to fourth, all because of your own inactivity. By the time you realized this, it was too late. You had already desperately established your character in an unmotivated beach babe, whose sole interest was lazing around the famous artist's cabin. Just like that, you boxed yourself in. You couldn't allow yourself to fall behind that airheaded mangaka wannabe, yet your pride stopped you from breaking character. So you worked in secret, staying up late and sleeping every morning, all in an effort to... That's enough. Before I could finish my explanation, Estelle finally threw in the towel. In a soft voice, completely unlike her typically harsh tone, she told me to stop. I get that you want to make fun of me, but could you please do it some other time? I have work to do, so if you're here to make fun of you. I stared at Estelle with wide eyes as she continued to surprise me. It wasn't just her tone of voice. Estelle's choice of words had softened considerably, and her usual fight had vanished. Instead of being hardened again, Estelle now sounded like an ordinary young girl who was being victimized. That's why you're here, isn't it? Everything you just said, I'm not going to deny it. Estelle once again responded without an ounce of vigor. Her eyes downcast, Estelle waited for me to lay it into her, genuinely expecting me to make fun of her. This is unbelievable. Estelle's conceded that my conclusion was correct, abandoned her usual attitude, and now she wants me to get back to work. She may have theorized as much, but is this the real Estelle? Well, what are you waiting for? Please, let's just get this over with. Without her usual mask of indifference, Estelle could only plead for me to let her get back to work. I, the one person who tried to gather her to work on her assignment from the beginning, was now being seen as an obstacle. Estelle, quit brooding and get it together. Estelle raised her head as I spoke to her in suddenly harsh tone. In response, in her pleas, which brought her on sobbing, I showed no further sympathy. What are you? You heard me. Dry your eyes, straighten your posture, and get back to your work. I didn't come here to mock you. I couldn't care less about what you say or how you act. It's like I told you from the beginning. All I want is for you to finish your damn assignment so I can take my uncle's class. Estelle stared at me blankly for a moment, unable to believe what she was hearing. As someone who had been lying to herself and those around her since she came here, it was unthinkable that she would be called out alone, have her true self accepted so easily. And yeah, that's just what happened. The truth was exposed, her close-guarded secret had now been uncovered, and nothing changed. Alright, I get it. I'll get back to work. Estelle picked up her paintbrush and assumed her pose from before I entered. The moment she began to raise her eyebrow, however, she turned to face me. Before that, there's one thing I don't understand. Why did you come here? I was working on my assignment before you arrived. If all you wanted was for me to get to work, you could have just left me alone. I smirked as Estelle pointed out the same concern I had raised with myself only minutes ago. Fortunately, after seeing Estelle's submissive reaction, I had formulated an appropriate response. You have a point. Even if I didn't confront you like this, you probably would have finished on your own. But you needed to know that you weren't fooled by your false apathy. I know the truth. Nachan knows the truth, and I'm sure Dawn has figured it out too. So if you did want to paint during the day, like with Nachan and I, or you needed to ask for help, you have no reason to hold back. I rubbed my chin with 2 fingers and took a step back. Well, this part is a bit, Leaned forward, closing one eye as I scrutinized the piece in front of me. How is it? Do you think I'll pass? I took a step forward, bringing my face so close to Dawn painting that I could taste it. I would say 3 million? 3 million, 3 million what? I thought we were being graded pass or fail. What does 3 million mean? I stepped back once more and crossed my arms, nodding triumphantly at the painting in front of me. Yep, 3 million, alright. Assuming you can find the right buyer, of course. Buyer? Wait a minute, you're talking about selling my painting? Of course, it would be a waste to just hand it over to my uncle for grading. It'd be much better selling it yourself and making a name for yourself like that. I can't do that. If I don't turn my painting in, I'll fail the class. Fine, get it graded first. Uncle will probably let you keep it anyway, and if he tries to take it, you can ask for it back as your reward for passing. Then, once you line up the right buyer, I'm not selling it! Wait, my reward for passing? Does that mean... Dawn looked up at me expectantly. While I wasn't at her level when it came to creating art, I could certainly judge the works of others, and I could scrutinize Dawn's painting in a more impartial manner than she could. Furthermore, I had spent more time with my uncle over the years than Dawn had, so I had a much better idea of what he would look for in a completed painting. Was the price tag not enough for an indicator? Yes, Dawn, this is a pass. As I bestowed my answer upon Dawn, her expression did not change. Her mouth remained open, her eyes wide stared at me, and she began to mumble softly. I passed. I really passed. I passed the great Miyazuki Sama's class. Heh, you haven't actually passed yet. It's my uncle who does the grading, not me, and there's more to your training than just the one assignment. I'm sure he'll have far more difficult challenges for you in the future. Pass. I really did pass. She's not listening to me at all. Once again, Dawn has escaped to her own little world. But I guess I can let her have this one. There's no way Uncle would fail her, and she has worked so hard. Dawn deserves some time to reflect on her accomplishment. I passed, still with 1 week left to spare. Now if I can get Nachan to step out of her room for a while. Hold it right there. Just as I thought Dawn was showing me her pride as an artist, celebrating her achievement, her true thoughts started to leak out. What is it, accomplice? I started shouting at Dawn as I shouted at Dawn as her words brought to mind what had happened the last time I found her in Nachan's room. Dawn, on the other hand, simply smiled at me, apparently looking back at the same moment in a different light. Please don't call me that. I'm ashamed enough as it is. Anyway, you can't think like that. You're only just finished assignment, right? You could be celebrating. Come on, get your mind out of the gutter and think of something you want to do to celebrate. My mind isn't in the gutter. It's perfectly natural to want to stiff a girl's oh my god. No, it's not. It's not natural to take a girl's underwear, especially if it is the intention of doing that. But you didn't hesitate to take mine. I could feel my face contort in surprise as Dawn brought up the one event in my life I had hoped to bury forever. While my arousal of the time caused me to act without thinking, I was not proud of myself. In fact, I was ashamed to even think that I would do such a thing. And so having Dawn of all people remind me of my own perversion was more than I could bear. That's different. I had your consent. If you want to take Nichan's panties, you need to ask her yourself. I hastily covered my shame by spinning a convenient excuse. Whether I could not stop Dawn or not, I had to at least warp her understanding of my motive, lest she ever bring it up in front of the others. So that's how it works. Seemingly buying my excuse, Dawn sighed in resigning. Yeah, that's right. You can't just go through someone's belongings without their permission. How would you like it if someone did that to you? I understand. I need to ask for consent. Without further discussion, Dawn grabbed her draft painting and headed toward the door. Hey, hold on a minute. Where are you going with that? To acquire consent. Oi, seriously, you're going to ask Nichan to hand over her underwear? Dawn shook her head. I'm going to make a transaction. A transaction? Precisely. My painting is complete. I don't need this draft anymore. And you're going to trade your draft with Nichan's panties? Dawn nodded. Ha! You're unbelievable. You know that? Setting aside the moral issues involved, this painting is worth way more than a pair of smelly underwear. Do not talk about Nichan's panties that way. I'll have you know that her underwear is the best smelling in the household, yours included. Wait, what? Yeah, that really isn't the issue here. Wait a second. Mine included. You've been smelling my underwear? I have to go. I can't keep my client waiting. Now, hold on a second. We're not done talking here. I reached out to grab Dawn, but before I could so much as lay a finger on her, she was already gone. This is just too surreal. Dawn finally completes her assignment, a week early at that, and her first instinct is to gratify herself. What's more, she admitted to sniffing my underwear as well, and she even ranked us all on our odor. When I signed up for my uncle's art course, this is definitely not what I was expecting my life to become. Better save, actually. In the hours following my morning with Dawn, Nichan and I met up to continue working on our assignment. Motivated by Dawn's achievement, Nichan got to work without any complaints, eager to finish her own before the approaching deadline. As the morning dragged on, however, we spent hours inside the classroom, and fatigue naturally began to take its toll. Why, Gavin? Alright, whatever. Just kill me already. Come on, Nichan, at least finish his chin. Don't you feel sorry for Mars? He only has half a face right now. Mars's face is ugly and stupid. Don't be like that. Give it a few more minutes, then you can take a break. Impossible. My arms are gonna fall off first. My shoulders hurt, my back hurts, and my brain is overheating. I need to lay down and draw some manga. Drawing manga isn't going to alleviate your pain. You don't know that. Alex, carry me into my room. I can't make it by myself. If you want me to lay down, you're going to have to move your own body. I'm not carrying you. Even if I finish Mars' stupid chin, even if you totally complete your assignment right here and now, I'm not carrying you. Stingy. For all of her lively banter, Nichan showed no sign of regaining her energy. Though mentally awake, she was physically exhausted, and her motivation to join Dawn at the finish line had diminished. Nichan was now a husk of her own former self, a lifeless shell created in her pursuit of someone she knew she would never hope to beat. You know, even if this really hurts my boobs, I'm actually pretty comfortable. I wonder if I can fall asleep like this. Please don't. Last thing I want is to explain to the others why you're using your breasts as a cushion. You had your chance to carry me, and you didn't take it. Now it's time for Nichan to nap. Nichan closed her eyes and slowed her breathing. Oi, seriously? Not here. Dawn is watching. Dawn is always watching. No, wait. Not where. What daydream are you having? Not a daydream. Nichan really is sleeping. If you say so. Giving up on Nichan, I left her alone and headed towards the door. As I did so, however, I began to hear a set of footsteps other than my own. I stopped walking a few moments later. The classroom door creaked open. Morning, party people. Are you ready for... Shortly after entering the classroom, Estelle noticed Nichan's awkward attempt at a nap. Morning, Estelle. Oh, yeah. Replying half-heartedly to my greeting, Estelle continued to stare at Nichan. Be out of amazement or simple curiosity, Estelle moved closer, stealing a peek at Nichan's face, or rather Nichan's pillow. That looks painful. It is. Then why don't you get up? Can't. Asleep. In response to that brief exchange, Estelle's expression turned from one of curiosity to a show of bemusement. Give up. Nichan is useless right now. How mean. You're right, though. For someone who's supposedly asleep, she sure does talk a lot, so I see. At least she appears to be making progress. Indeed, I'm afraid Nichan's current state is a side effect of her success. Anyway, what brings you here so early, Estelle? Me? Hey, I usually don't wake up until midday. What's more, I almost never see you in here. Does that mean you're taking my advice? Thinking back to last night, I had advised Estelle that she would get more done if she used the classroom regardless of who was inside. In other words, rather than staying up late to work alone, she would paint during the day and spread her work out over the full 16 hours of daylight at her disposal. Don't sound so shocked. Is it really that hard to believe? Besides, the last thing I want to do is fall behind that. Estelle pointed at Chan, who was chuckling to herself as she rested. Heh, this could be a good story for a new manga. I'll be the girl who sits like this for so long that her breasts fall off, and she goes around cutting off the breasts of other people so they look like her. I don't really want to debut, but a horror manga though, so I don't really want to debut with a horror manga though, so maybe that's too much. Oh, she can go around groping people out of envy instead, make an ecchi manga, and get publishing in no time. And that is how the great Ero Mangaka oh my god, I can't speak today. And that is how the great fuck that. Chan Sensei beginning her journey in the world of professional art. Mangaka. There we go. I see what you mean. Well, don't let that slob get in your way. I can drag her out of here if she's too much of a distraction. No, Princess Carrie. For crying out loud. It's fine if she's a nuisance. I'll eliminate her myself. You mean you'll drag her out of the classroom? Sure, you can tell yourself that. Scary girl. I still prefer scary over useless and annoying, though. Huh. I might take a break soon, then. If you two are in here working, the last thing you need is for me to get in your way. Don't say that. Didn't you promise to help me with my assignment? Did I? No, wait. More importantly, did Estelle just ask for my help? You actually want my help? Of course, you've been helping the other two out, right? It's only fair if you treat us all equally. Besides, if you can reform that slacker, then you can't be all talk. Estelle glanced at Chan as she spoke. Wow, Estelle really does have a low opinion of Chan, doesn't she? Alright then, I'm game. I don't know how much help I'll be, considering how far you've gotten on your own, but I'll do whatever I can. That's the spirit. Estelle grabbed her unfinished painting and propped it up. Then she took her easel in hand and straightened her back, raised her brush. As I thought, Estelle is still behind Chan. Estelle's work ethic may be greater than Chan's, but her pace is slow and her strokes are more cautious. For an artist like Estelle, having a short deadline must be a nightmare. Despite her observations, Estelle didn't seem to be having any difficulty keeping up. After all the planning and practice Estelle devoted herself to, the time had now come for her to reap what she had sown. She knew ahead of time that she would paint when, what she would paint when, and in what order. Though cautious, there was no hesitation in her movement, nor did she second-guess herself. Impressive. I thought you were the slowest painter here, but I was wrong. A good painter needs proper foundation. If you don't plan ahead, you can never hope to reach the result you desire. Sparing only those words, Estelle returned to her canvas, not skipping a beat as she got right back to work. Very astute, Estelle. Looking at her work now, I feel like I have misunderstood her even more so than the other girls. While Dawn is the type of perfectionist to redo something a dozen times until she's satisfied, Estelle puts her effort into coming up with the best plan of attack. She minimizes the amount of time and effort required to reach the best result possible, biding her time until she's well and truly ready to proceed. Just as I thought that, Estelle's movements began to slow down. A few seconds later, she stopped moving and her brush returned to her easel. Crap, I knew it. What's wrong, Estelle? Did you make a mistake? No, it's not that. Just this part of Mars, no matter how many times I sketch him, I always have trouble drawing his nose. I have another look at Estelle's painting. While I personally felt that it was too soon for Estelle to be drawing his nose, I could understand her wanting to get the part she found troublesome out of the way. Do you have trouble drawing noses in general, or just Mars? Probably in general. Not really sure, though. I don't draw human faces often. I prefer to draw landscapes or do big picture drawings. I focus on a single person just seems kind of wrong, you know? Like, why should I be drawing this guy? What makes him so important? Well, he is a god. You know what I mean. Anyway, what is the main reason why I usually draw places and scenes rather than individual people? And that is the fact that I'd rather just be drawing something else. Estelle smiled as she finished explaining me to her usual criteria. For the first time since she began taking my uncle's course, Estelle was able to talk freely about her artistic process and her own personal take on her training. Well, unlike Estelle, however, I could not smile at her conclusion. So is that how Estelle sees the assignment, is it? Mars is some self-important idol, less interesting than the forest of a plain. Estelle, I understand you'd rather be drawing something else, but it isn't the reason you came here to learn something new. If you have difficulty drawing human faces, then this is the perfect opportunity to learn how to do it right. Letting go of my annoyance, I appealed to Estelle's desire to grow as an artist. Knowing that she wasn't just here for the beach after all, I felt far more confident in my ability to reason with her. Unfortunately, even if Estelle and I were quickly gaining an understanding of one another, that wouldn't mean that we would become in agreement easily. I won't deny that this is a learning opportunity. I did come here expecting to learn from a master, after all. But you don't think it's a bit unreasonable? You can't expect me to learn from someone who isn't even here. She's right. The uncle of mine is way too irresponsible. I thought over my proposition for a moment before coming up with a slightly different solution. You're right, you can't be taught by someone if they're not here. But that doesn't mean you can't learn from them. What are you talking about? You're contradicting yourself. Rather than rebuke Estelle, I walked over to her side and gestured for her to continue painting. Refreshing. As she hesitantly raised her brush, I placed my left hand on her shoulder and my right on her right forearm. Hey, what are you doing? What does it look like? I'm teaching you how to paint noses. Just forget that I'm here and paint Mars's nose like you did during practice. Easier said than done. Despite her complaint, Estelle did as I asked. Estelle began tracing along the bridge and tip of her nose, providing a rough outline in which to work. She then traced around the nostrils before lightly dabbing the interior with darker paint, creating the illusion of depth while obfuscating, whatever the fuck that is, finer details. Finally, Estelle applied color to the skin of the nose itself, filling in the blanks and finishing off the stage she dreaded most. Phew, that was the first layer done. Touch it up with a bit more, then move on to the next feature. Not so fast, Estelle. Before she could congratulate herself anymore, I positioned myself between Estelle and her canvas. What is it? I'm painting his nose like you wanted me to, right? No, you aren't painting his nose, not anymore. What are you talking about? Estelle looked back at her painting with confusion adoring her face. She squinted her eyes as she looked at Mars's nose, trying to figure out why I stopped her. I really don't see what you... Whoa, hold on a minute. Estelle pulled back as she realized what I was talking about. Is that what you... I nodded in confirmation. That's exactly what I was talking about. You aren't painting his nose. It's already done. No way. How did you do that? I didn't. You did. I smiled as Estelle stared at me in utter shock. When you mentioned you disliked for drawing noses, I thought back to your early sketches. In each sketch, the basic structure was fine, the size was perfect, and the shape was good, and there was no problems with the proportions. However, they all began to come apart when you traced back over them. Because you were so meticulous and you felt that it was a weak area, you overcompensated by paying too much attention to Mars's nose. If you'd just shown a little more confidence in your first attempts, you could have gotten your most dreadful task out of the way, as we've just seen. By applying a little more pressure on Estelle's brush than normal, I forced her to paint thicker lines than usual and to color a wider area. Usually this would cause problems, but my attempt at helping would prove to be a hindrance, as Estelle was showing too much caution around Mars's nose. However, my intervention instead served to return her brush strokes back to your usual breadth. In short, I made Estelle paint Mars's nose the same way she did the rest of his face. I see. So that's it. The solution was so simple, and yet I couldn't see it at all. Don't be too hard on yourself. It's pretty common for people to only see what's right in front of them. Sometimes the perspective of a third party is exactly what you need, be it in art or anything else. That's right, Alex, you're absolutely right. I definitely made the right choice asking you for help. I scratched my face as I didn't mean to do that, but... What? That is Inception. Why would someone need so many save slots? Holy crap. Anyways, I scratched my face a bit as felt a blush coming on. It's good to have Estelle, a girl who I thought was selfish Gyaru, compliment me like that. Hard-earned gratitude really was the most rewarding. Don't praise me too much, I'll start to get conceited. Honestly, I didn't do anything special. Dawn and Chan could have shown you that much. Are you kidding? No, modesty is great and all, but you still don't have to say stuff like that casually. What do you mean? Think about it for a second. Could you see Dawn, who runs and hides at the drop of a hat, tells someone that there's something wrong with their painting? I thought over my experiences with Dawn since we began living together. Although Dawn had opened up to her accomplice a little, we'd even shared a joke or two, I certainly couldn't imagine her telling Estelle that she was screwing up. That's true. But what about... Before I could say another word, Nachan's pathetic visage entered my field of vision. She was still draped over the chair and hadn't moved at all since Estelle began ignoring her. It's not for the fact that her eyes were open, I would have sworn that she'd fallen asleep. No, never mind, forget I said anything. It's hard enough to get Nachan to focus on her own assignments, let alone someone else's. Estelle followed my gaze and looked toward Nachan. Oh yeah, I've been meaning to ask about that. What's got Nachan so down? Did you sexually harass her before I got here? I stared at Nachan bemusedly, in turn receiving a mischievous grin. No, Estelle, I didn't sexually harass Nachan. While it's true that I've had my share of nosebleeds in Nachan's room, I can't call that sexual harassment. If anything, Nachan and Dawn are the ones who have been harassing me. Don't look at me like that. I was obviously kidding. So what's really eating her? That time of the month? How would I know that? Anyway, Nachan's got tired after painting all morning. She's been working hard to finish her assignment, and it seems like the stress is getting to her. It's not stress, jeez. Nachan just wants a little break and she can't move. Nobody will carry her bridal style. Finally waking up as she became the center of attention once more, Nachan offered offered her own take on the matter. You wanted to be carried bridal style now. Your demands just keep getting more unreasonable. What's the difference between Princess Carrie and being carried bridal style? Nachan's lip curled up to one side and she averted her gaze. She appeared to be thinking hard about the differences between her requests. After a few seconds of intense thought, however, she returned to her previous state of indifference. Forget it, it's not important. I'll just sit here until I die. So you won't know after all, huh? Nobody knows or appreciates Nachan. She works her cute butt off, and then what rewards does she get? Despair. I sighed and shook my head as I wondered what to do about Nachan. Estelle, on the other hand, smirked at the scene before her. So you want a reward, huh? I suppose you've earned one. Just look at how far you've come this past week. Oi, Estelle, what are you? That's right, Nachan has earned a reward. I've made amazingly spectacular progress this week, and Alex hasn't shown me any gratitude at all. I frantically turned from left to right, eyeing both Nachan and Estelle. What the hell are you talking about? Nachan, this is your assignment. Why should I be grateful? I've been rewarding you every step of the way with manga tutelage. Was that not enough? Oh, you're right. Nachan slumped back down in her chair. Nachan got greedy. Phew, crisis averted. Nachan may be whimsical, but she's not a bad person. She wouldn't insist on, now, you shouldn't give up that easily. Persistence is key when you're persuading someone to do your bidding. Just as I thought I was in the clear, a roadblock suddenly appeared. I stared daggers at Estelle. Estelle, what do you think you're doing? Well, I'm just telling it as it is. Nachan is an independent young woman who deserves to know her rights. No, Nachan is an expressionable young girl being led down a dark path by a manipulative Gyaru. Nachan can hear what you're both saying. Both Nachan agrees with Estelle. I want a reward, and I'm not painting another stroke until I get it. While Estelle and I were talking, Nachan finally rose to her feet. She stumbled between two of us and puffed out her chest, trying her best to remain upright as the blood rushed to her head. Great, this is just what I need. Dawn finished her painting. Nachan was making significant progress. Even Estelle turned out to be nearing completion. I really thought I had this in the bag. My life has never been this easy, has it? I sighed and drooped my shoulders. Fine, what do you want? Elated by my response, Nachan didn't even try to hide the smile spreading across her face. The possibility of a reward, which had been denied to her all morning, is now looking attainable after all. I want a trip to the beach. Cut off by Estelle's mid-sentence, Nachan looked at her co-conspirator in surprise. After convincing Nachan that she needed a reward after all, Estelle wasted no time in showing her ulterior motive. Seriously? The beach? What, you thought I was joking about coming here to chill by the beach? You don't get a body like this sitting in front of a canvas all day. Estelle struck a pose as she spoke about her own body. Whether she was serious about the reason for enrollment or not, Estelle did not appear to have a genius interest in the beach. That's not fair. That's not fair. This is supposed to be Nachan's reward. Why should Estelle get to decide? Because Estelle knows best. Come on, don't you want to give it a shot? We've been housemates for a while now, yet we haven't gotten to hang out together even once. This could be a good opportunity for all of us to bond or something, right? I don't know. We can rub lotion on each other's backs, play beach volleyball, have water fights, you name it. And if you're really lucky, Alex might just have a wardrobe malfunction. Prompted by Estelle's foreboding statement, Nachan shifted her gaze back to the only male person. She looked up and down body without saying a word, all the while staring with her mouth agape. My eyes are up here, you know. Allowing her fluster to show for the first time, Nachan struggled to regain her composure. Well, I suppose the beach wouldn't be so bad. No, I mean, Nachan wants to go to the beach, yeah. You aren't fooling anyone with your half-assed explanation, Nachan. I assure you I will not be having any wardrobe malfunctions. That being said, if you both want to go, I won't try and stop you as long as you return to your work without complaint afterwards. Of course. Naturally. Yes, right, there's no way it will be that easy. I sigh and hang my head. Fine, all four of us will go tomorrow morning. But until then, we're both going to be working on our assignments like usual. Understood? That's the plan. Yeah. Nachan peered back towards her painting as if she thought continuing in her mind. What is it? Is there some other reason why you don't want to continue? No, nothing like that. Oh, I mean, Nachan's still tired, remember? Carry me like a princess bride. How did you even... Ha! Forget it. Though they appeared to be something bothering Nachan, I decided to let it go and return to our status from a few minutes ago. I tried to get her to work, but Nachan hurt chest and back. We both wasted precious time that could have been spent painting. Even there then remained one difference with the thought of beach day in our mind. The spirits of everyone present had been raised. Although I wanted to spend our time together as efficiently as possible, at least until the girls had completed their assignments, and just this once, I too was looking forward to the day ahead. Alright, we are going to stop right there. thank you guys so much for watching episode 3 of Catch Canvas. If you guys did enjoy, please hit that like button down below. Comment what your favorite part of this video was. Hit that subscribe button because it tells me you guys enjoy what I do. And if you enjoy what I do, I'll keep doing it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.